This new law just forces Coinbase to end the 2.2 million Bitcoin paper attack. Now, before everybody starts talking about the conspiracy theories behind the paper Bitcoin, this new law comes at a very specific time, which just led up to an announcement just today that coincidentally crashed the Bitcoin price. But first, before we get into all of that, let's get into Coinbase and the theory around the paper Bitcoin attack and the new law that just passed about in-kind redemptions for crypto ETPs. Now, if you do not know what an in-kind redemption is, this is essentially where people are allowed to deposit Bitcoin, and then you can take out Bitcoin in the same sense. You could do that with gold or with now Bitcoin or something along those lines. And this is very significant because now it makes sure that, hey, if BlackRock is holding your Bitcoin and you deposit it with Bitcoin, well, you have to be able to take it out at any time. So they need to be holding 1-to-1. So they need to be able to do all those accounting differences and those tactics there. So these in-kind ETFs are absolutely massive. This was the final holdup for a lot of crypto ETFs. It means the market makers can use actual crypto assets to interact with funds and the ETF participants, not cash, which was terrible decision by Gary Gensler in the first place. This rule changes were applied to all for NASDAQ and now the New York Stock Exchange. So it's absolutely massive. And Fidelity has always filed to admit their Bitcoin ETF to allow in-kind redemptions and all of this just last week. So now this is official. The SEC passes this, and a lot of the benefits are that it creates a lot more market efficiency. So we've already seen the Bitcoin ETFs have a historic generational run, something that we've never seen before. So with all of that, then now we're seeing something that is very, very interesting. We're seeing the potential of the ETFs have even more of a greater pull than before. Look, I'm not saying that you should be putting your Bitcoin in an ETF. I'm a big proponent, not your keys, not your coins. But something that is very interesting with these in-kind ETFs is that potentially some of these big Bitcoin whales can now deposit their Bitcoin into BlackRock without having to sell and get the same exposure. And there's a lot of loan products that are accessible to high net worth individuals when you have a giant portfolio. So, for example, you have a big Bitcoin portfolio. You want to put a portion of that stack over and get a big giant loan. Well, you can do that now with BlackRock. And of course, there's other products, and we'll get into some of those other products here a little bit later. But I think it's very interesting that we're seeing, this kind of start to take off here, where we're seeing the differences and the start of the Bitcoinization of a lot of these products. These in-kind redemptions are absolutely huge. And I don't think that anybody should understate these because of just how much people have exposure towards these Bitcoin ETFs. I mean, it's absolutely huge here, right? So as we're going through and seeing the development of this market, well, I'm not encouraging you, like I said, to have Bitcoin ETFs, but look at the volume here, folks. I mean, that's just massive amounts of volume right now on a daily basis where they could essentially have a quote unquote bank run of these ETFs and essentially just take it out all at once and continue their way forward. But I think that a couple things that coincidentally happened right around this time should also be taken of notice. We just had JP Morgan, the $4.2 trillion giant, announce that they're going to partner up with Coinbase, the biggest Bitcoin and crypto exchange in the United States and in the world for that matter, to enable crypto purchases via credit cards. They've even got JP Morgan Chase's. Something interesting here. This is from the Wolf of Wall Streets. The deal is wild, especially from credit card point redemptions. Direct bank to wallet connections, through JP Morgan Secure API. This direct connection will help mutual customers transact with confidence, security, and privacy they're used to with customers at Chase. The Chase Unlimited Rewards points, which is also interesting, will have a 1-to-1 redemption ratio where 100 points will equal $1 in redemption value. For a major credit card company to now give rewards that will be used to fund a crypto wallet. And beginning this fall, the ability to use Chase credit cards on Coinbase for the first time, customers will have their ability to fund their Coinbase accounts using Chase credit cards. So Jamie Dimon, of course, we know that he's essentially bend the knee to Bitcoin at this point in time. He's essentially said, hey, you know what? I hear you guys. I see what's going on here. I can't stop this train. Nothing stops this train. And you know what? I guess we got to start offering some sort of Bitcoin related products here because, well, the customers are just scratching at the bit for it. They're really going for it. So launching this strategic partnership make buying crypto easier than ever. The direct bank to wallet link, Chase Ultimate Rewards transfer, and the ability to use Chase credit cards will give users more ways to get into crypto. So this direct bank wallet connections, the Ultimate Rewards points, Chase customers will be able to transfer their Chase Ultimate Rewards points to their Coinbase accounts at 1-to-1 redemption ratio. And beginning this fall, the ability to use their credit cards will be absolutely massive. So now we have not only JP Morgan Chase coming in and doing all of this, and on the days later after the in-kind redemptions, JP Morgan has also said, hey, we're not going to custody your Bitcoin. But there is something also unique that happened just earlier today as well. Scott Bessent posted this video saying, crypto, welcome home. Now let's listen in to this great clip here that Scott Bessent posted on his X account earlier today.
This afternoon, I'm laying out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet.
We are going big on digital assets. So Trump administration has made digital assets a priority. With the passage of the Genius legislation last week, I think that we could see several $1 trillion of demand.
So he said all this, crypto, welcome home. But coincidentally, when he said all that, that's when we saw this huge dip in the Bitcoin price. Look, I'm not saying that this is par for the course, but this is just something that, we should anticipate at this point in time. So I think that everything that these people are seeing, right? The Trump administration is very bullish when it comes to Bitcoin. I mean, JP Morgan, these in-kind redemptions, literally every single way where you turn, there's something positive coming out about the Bitcoin space. So because there is something positive about this all coming out, well, they realize, hey, you know what? We need to be able to, let's say, just be kind towards the Bitcoin space. We need to be able to understand what they want. We need to understand this customer. We need to listen to it because, hey, you know what? If we want to make some money off of them, we need to be able to do that. So this is why you're seeing all of these products lie. Now, I think everybody's biggest fear is just strictly Bitcoin and self-custody. That gives power to the people. That means you don't need those banks anymore, right? So a lot of these big banks, they're not going to go down easy. But let's be honest, not everybody wants to deal with Bitcoin self-custody. Some people still want to deal with their banks. They're just, the traditional ways. I mean, my mom, dad, they probably would rather feel more comfortable holding Bitcoin in JP Morgan Chase than they do in Coinbase, or JP Morgan Chase than they do in, Strike, or a company that they haven't really heard of, or even in self-custody. I mean, that's another step way down the line that I don't even think that they're, some people even really get to. But the way this administration has really approached the Bitcoin and crypto space, I think, is very positive because even though, they're conflating crypto, they're talking about it as digital assets. there's a lot of issues here. The Digital Asset Reserve Report, it will develop the strategies to use to acquire additional Bitcoin for the reserve. And we're going to get into more of that here in a minute. But there was something also very unique that happened today as well. Jerome Powell did not cut interest rates, right? Literally happened today. So because he did not cut interest rates today, we see that rate, the target rate, falling from 50 from basically not ever really cutting to now it's a 45% chance of whether or not they're going to cut in September. I mean, Trump came out and said, hey, you know what? He heard from Jerome Powell that they are going to cut in September. That's what he heard. Rumor on the street. So, I mean, I think at this point in time, it is something that is interesting that we're seeing this so high, at least right now. Look, I'm not guaranteeing this will happen, and it is early on. I mean, last time we looked at this for those of you guys who remember, been following the channel for some bit, last time it was at 25 to 30% that they were going to cut basically right after they didn't cut last time. So we're going to see how this develops over this next month. But either way, I am not looking to sell Bitcoin, even with this price dip that we've gotten here. It's even recovered already, right? We had this dip down to 115. Now it's already back up to 117. Look, I'm not trying to sell, but Bitcoin is the ultimate collateral. So this is why I think partnering with Salt Lending has been one of the best things that I could do, not only for you guys, but for myself, just to see, hey, you know what? I don't need to sell my Bitcoin because we all know where this thing is going, right? So if you go to saltlending.com/greencandle today, there's a link down below. They will give you an offer of 0.5% off, and they offer some of the best products, I think, on the market right now. So there's no rehypothecation. The rates start at 8.95%. So you could even get that even lower. If you go to saltlending.com/greencandle, there's 12-month duration. You could borrow up to 70%. You get no prepayment fees. You get the cash quickly, no credit checks or anything like that. And then you could go on top of it. There's a no liquidation risk if you want to add the Salt Shield. It's a little bit extra, but you won't have to have that worry of that liquidation. So I think that this is extremely valuable. And for what you guys are doing here during this market cycle, I think it's very important that you take a good look at this and look at if it's a good time for you to loan against your Bitcoin. Maybe you want to make a big purchase, another house, fix up the backyard, get a pool, little vacation, something where you don't want to have to sell those precious sats, because we all know where this thing is going, and it's going there quickly. Now, I'm going to give you guys some sats. So maybe this will turn into a vacation later on. If you guys go to bitcoinwell.com/greencandle, sign up there, you'll get 500 wishing well points. Sign up, you get 500 more after your first transaction. So do all that. And then let's see. Get your Lightning wallets ready. Make sure you guys are smoking that like Cheech and Chong, hitting that subscribe button. Because boom, every time you come to a Green Candle live stream, you could potentially get some sats. There's 489 sats here today. There we go. We're seeing that thing going. It's adding to dubs. What is that? 21,413 sats. There, I could have gave you 489 more. There you go. $25. The GOAT dub in the chat. Don't forget, if you missed out on those sats, you can go to bitcoinwell.com/greencandle, sign up there today. And don't forget, folks, if you're a big old whale looking to buy some Bitcoin, you can go down there and buy 50K smackers worth. Because what we're seeing here is just the development of the White House, the Digital Assets Reserve Report on the Strategic Reserve. The Treasury and Commerce will develop strategies that could be used to acquire additional Bitcoin for the reserve. See, it is a little vague, so it's not quite as bullish, right? So people using leverage to go in and out, Casino-Base. I like this. If Casino-Base knows Saylor will never sell his Bitcoin, Brian Armstrong feel comfortable selling more Bitcoin than Casino-Base hold. Exactly. I mean, there is definitely that risk, man. There is the risk of them becoming banks, right? The banks are coming in and really trying to get involved in this Bitcoin space. So I would be very cautious with all of this. But, with them trying to buy Bitcoin, are they going to do it? They want to become the crypto capital of the world. So they're saying, promises made, promises kept. That's their big rally call here at the Trump admin, that they are continuing to rally around with all of these different aspects. So we shall see. We shall see how this develops. I, for one, definitely think that the United States government and Trump sees the value proposition in Bitcoin, not as much as the freedom aspect. They see the number go up technology. And these in-kind redemptions are just sort of in tune with how the Trump admin has been reacting towards Bitcoin. So I really do think that this is going to be the future. And, there's going to be more and more of these products that keep coming out that make Bitcoin more accessible to the average everyday person. And the average everyday person, it maybe feels a little bit more comfortable with, these banks opposed to just coming in and holding in self-custody. So we have to meet everybody where they're at initially, folks. But I think that these in-kind redemptions are absolutely huge. And I think that we're going to start to see more of this news come out here in the near future. So be sure to be smoking that like Cheech and Chong, hitting that subscribe button, guys. I'm going to keep this one a little bit short, and I'll catch you guys all at the next one.